23 and 24, there has been a phenomenal growth which has surpassed like 3,20,000 something odd. But this time we have seen there's a drop, which is maybe a market correction, or maybe whatever. Dhruva sir would be a better person to comment on this. But on the long run, I feel whatever it is, it would give more opportunity to the students who have appeared for CAT, because of the only reason that most of the IIMs and many of the other top B schools which are in the non-IIM category have increased the seats. So more the seats, more the opportunity. Maybe a bit lower the cutoff would be. Apart from that, there is only 1 week, maybe 10 days left, and I hand it over to Dhruva sir for his analysis of the CAT paper trends according to his experience. Though their CAT is very unpredictable, whether it is conducted by IIM Calcutta or be it IIM Kozhikode. We have been trying to get some comments from the CAT convener at IIM Kozhikode, and he has been extending the dates, and we could not get through him. We are still hopeful that maybe he will speak to us. But as of now, Dhruva sir, it's all yours.
Thank you. Just to comment on why the numbers have dropped, I think it was long due. I think MBA, everything, not only MBA, I think everything in life undergoes a circle. Okay, so therefore there are phases when it goes up and there are phases when it comes down. I think, as you rightly pointed out, it's very much a correction that is happening, maybe a year or two, and I'm sure organizations need professionals, and therefore it will come back. So I don't one thing that I strongly suggest is no student should see it as any indication that MBA is going out of a trend or something like that. Everybody should really prepare for it. Okay.
That's a very valid point. I just want to reiterate that somebody recently, one of the top entrepreneur of the country, had made a comment that if you are 25 and if you are going for an MBA, you are some idiot or something like that. So I guess these are loose cannons, coming out after being successful. You can get away with whatever you say, but end of the day, if you go through the average CTC, I would rather be an idiot to get into MBA and have a package of which is being offered by the top B schools of the country.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, see, the moment you see MBA as a placement thing only, then there is a problem. But if you therefore now see it as a skill building thing or something like that, that is where you get the full value of an MBA. I think that's what matters the most.
Correct.
Yeah.
So please carry on, Dhruva sir.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. I think approximately 10 days to go. Okay. And maybe it is time that we tie out some loose ends, something that can be done for the next few days or so. So I will basically talk about the CAT patterns that has happened over the last few years and how we can make the best out of them. Now, just to give you a perspective, please remember before COVID, till CAT 19, okay, the paper right when it went online to CAT 19, the paper used to be approximately 3 hours. CAT 2015 to 2019, I will not go beyond last 10 years maybe. Yeah, so CAT 15 to CAT 19, the paper used to be of 3 hours, more or less 100 questions, 34, 32, 34 type of a thing. CAT 20, due to COVID, they shifted from 2 slots to 3 slots. The paper became 2 hours. Okay, number of questions came down. CAT 2020, there were total 76 questions, 40 minutes into 3. Now, what has remained beyond CAT 20 is that 40 minutes into 3, that is 2 hours paper, has remained as a trend. Okay, so that has not changed. I think as per the latest communication also, that has not changed. We'll have CAT 2025, which is 40 minutes into 3 sections. So total 120 minutes, 3 slots. That remains this year as well. Okay, so now if you look at 21, 22, 23, okay, and I'll concentrate on this only. Each one of them had exactly 66 questions, 24, 20, 22. Okay, verbal ability 24, data interpretation and logical reasoning 20, quantitative ability 22, total 66 questions. Mix of MCQ as well as TETA, as they call it, type in the answer. 40 minutes each section, 120 minutes, wherein the MCQs and the non-MCQs, that is the MCQ with 4 options and the non-MCQ TETA, wherein you'll have to type an answer, would have been in the ratio 2:1, approximately 2:1 to 2.3:1, something like that. Now, why it is significant is because one thing that you need to understand out here is that these questions don't carry negative marking. Okay, so these 20 questions, when we are talking about theta, they don't carry negative marking even if you type in a wrong answer. So that is very, very important to understand that approximately 1/3 of the paper uh, are questions wherein you can take a fair amount of risk, and they don't carry negative marking. So therefore, one thing that I generally suggest to people or any CAT aspirant is that please understand 1/3 of the paper does not carry negative marking, and therefore you should have time to see all the theta questions and fairly attempt. Okay, so unless and until the question is absolutely out of your league and you did not understand any head or tail out of it, uh, you should definitely try out the theta questions, or give yourself at least 2 minutes per theta question, so that at least you can make an attempt. Okay, so if it's a parajumble question, it is worth a try. If it is a verbal ability question, it's definitely worth a try, or a critical reasoning question is definitely worth a try. Maybe if it is quant, you will struggle to find an answer. I understand that completely. But if it is at least in the verbal section, you should definitely try out the theta questions, attempt it, give your best shot, because they don't get a negative mark. Now, that is number one. So one thing that is important is approximately 1/3 of the paper, spread over sections, obviously, is theta. Okay, type in the answer. This is the breakup for CAT 2023, as you can see on the screen. Okay, uh, the paper more or less remains same in 21, 22, 23. Yes, there would have been some variation in number of MCQs versus non-MCQs, but very, very nominal. You can expect something like that only, even in 24. Sorry, even in 25. So therefore, I don't see much of a variation here. Let me put my neck out in saying that I don't see much of a variation there, in terms of the structure of the paper. Okay, if you look at CAT 24, now the only change in CAT 24 was that there were 2 questions more in data interpretation than 21, 22, and 23. So there were 66 questions in 21, 22, 23, and in CAT 24 there were 2 questions more in the data interpretation section, and number of theta questions in verbal ability came down hugely, and number of questions in the percentage of questions in of MCQ and non-MCQ in CAT 24, in the especially in the DI section, was almost 50-50. Okay, so that's a very interesting change, because what you need to understand is that I just now said that if you have got theta questions in verbal, and if you look at it, verbal, there are 4 theta questions, now it comes down to 2. So that's something which I think IIMs understood, that a lot of students are taking, how do I say, wild guesses in the non-MCQ questions in verbal, and that is why they reduced it. But yeah, if you look at it, therefore, the CAT 24, the biggest change was that the number of MCQ to non-MCQ became almost 2.5 is to 1. Okay, so that's the MCQ side was obviously heavier. Okay, earlier it would have been almost 46 is to 20. Now this became 48 to 20. So a marginal increase in terms of heavier towards MCQs. Okay, and as I said, data interpretation had huge number of questions which were theta. Okay, that's the interesting part of the story, which basically, please remember that when we are talking about 12 to 8 and 12 to 10, that's a huge increase, because DI is one section where most of the students are not very comfortable because they are doing it for the first time. Okay. Therefore, what will be CAT 2025? I will not do any prediction, except that I don't see much of a change in terms of total number of questions. It will be between 65 to 70. The number of MCQ, non-MCQ can go from here, there, and so on. But I don't think there will be very huge changes in this. I think 66 to 68 is a very optimal number of questions that can be given in 120 minutes. It's a good mix of speed as well as accuracy, as well as choice of questions and etc. that we are checking in CAT, and therefore I don't think that there'll be huge amount of change here. Okay, so that's my prediction. Exact number of questions we obviously don't know. MCQ versus non-MCQ, we again obviously don't know, but my guess is yes, it will be more or less same. Okay, now therefore, what is fairly predictable? Let's look into that first. What I believe is that CAT will have three sections with sectional time limits of 40 minutes into three. I think that I can stick my neck out and I can definitely say that, this is not going to change. Okay. In fact, uh, it's, I mean, I'll put it as almost on records by IIMs that CAT will have three sections, sectional time limits, 40 minutes into three. They have not definitely or categorically stated that, but the paper being of 2 hours, 120 minutes, that is clear. There'll be three sections, that is also clear. They will have three sections, equal time limit, so that makes it 40 minutes per section, that is also clear. So therefore, one thing that I can stick my neck out and say is that CAT will have three sections, sectional time limits 40 minutes into three. The previous structure remains. You cannot shift to other section from the previous section. Only when the previous section is ended or submitted, you can go to the next section, and you cannot go back to the previous section. That's how it moves. So that has remained more or less constant. Okay. Number of questions will be similar to last 2-3 years. As I said, it will be anywhere between 60 and 70. I don't think there will be much of a change here. I think that's a fair number. Okay. Uh, 120 minutes, 60 questions, that leaves you approximately 2 minutes per question, has been a standard thing for some time now in CAT. Just reminding you that when it was 100 questions and 180 minutes, it was approximately 1.8 per question. Now it is approximately 66 to 68. 120 minutes again comes down to 1.8 minutes per question on an average. Okay. Now the strategy of that, I will come back to it later, but I'm just pointing out that uh, this very clearly has been the trend for CAT for some time now, almost uh, 20 years now, that on an average you get approximately uh, 1.5 to 1.8 minutes per question. Okay. Now, what is unpredictable? Okay. Now, this is important, and I think you should definitely take this into account. What is unpredictable about CAT, and what I always say to all CAT aspirants, they should take care of it, is that the breakup of the sections, that is how many MCQ and how many theta, that is something which we should not predict. So while I say that more or less the mix will be like that, but if it changes, you should not get worried. Okay, that is my first suggestion. Uh, they might like to change. Okay, they might like to change. They might like to increase number of theta questions in verbal and reduce the number of theta questions in DI, something like that. That is something which should not bother any CAT aspirant during this time. Okay, you should look at the paper as it has come, and based on that you take your strategy. That is something which you decide during the paper and not really before the paper. Okay. Another common mistake that students do is trying to predict what is a good score in the paper. uh, before the paper happens and during the paper. Okay, now this is very dangerous. Mind my word, I am saying it is very dangerous. Okay, the only parameter that you use while preparing for it and writing mocks is percentile. Okay, and not the absolute score. Never look at the absolute score. Okay, so if somebody actually lot of people, now there are a lot of YouTube channels and lot of experts all across. uh, Choose your expert carefully is what all I can say. They make lot of predictions that this score is a good score, 120 is a good score, or for that matter 100 is a good score or something like that. I don't go by that. I have seen CAT 23, I have seen CAT 24. All I can tell you is that difficulty level and good score is something which should be thought only after the exam is over, and leave it to us experts in analyzing the paper post the paper has happened. As a student, you should not make up your mind about difficulty level of the paper or a good score. What you should concentrate on is doing as many questions as possible in quotes correctly, score as much as possible from your own potential, and then match it with the percentiles that you get in your mocks. You should not look at percentage. Okay, the difficulty level of the paper has absolutely no pattern in CAT. Okay, if you look at last 25 years, I have seen very difficult paper, very easy paper, uh, one section being very difficult, another section being very easy. They have done everything mix and match, and therefore difficulty level and what is a good score is something which you should not decide before CAT or during CAT. As I said, the only thing that should matter during our preparation stage is percentile. Okay, and therefore what is an important thing as a preparation or during writing the paper is, if you are actually scoring less or you are being able to attempt lesser number of questions than what you generally score in your mocks, you should touch your heart, say all is well, and say that if I am not being able to do it, that will be true for everybody else. Okay, if you are facing a difficulty level and you are well prepared, or whatever preparation you have done, if that is affecting you at your preparation level, that will be affecting everybody. CAT is a very democratic exam. If it is difficult, it is difficult for everybody. If it is easy, it is easy for everybody. So therefore that should not bother you. Similarly, if you are doing higher than whatever you attempt, uh, you should not become complacent or happy saying that ho gaya mera, matlab I have done enough, now I should chillax. That is also not a good idea. 40 minutes you do as many questions as possible. You should not worry about what is a good score or a bad score. Let the competition decide what percentile you get. Okay, difficulty level and good score is something, is a post CAT scenario. It is not a pre CAT scenario. I'll talk about CAT 23 and 24 and you will understand how the world changed. Okay, another thing which we can predict 80%, but we will still leave the 20% to chance, is what all questions can come and what all questions cannot come. For example, a lot of people have told me that vocabulary questions has not been coming for a fairly long time, and therefore vocabulary questions will not come. Now, I don't believe in any such logic. Okay, I believe that CAT is an independent body. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, truth of life is that yes, direct vocabulary questions has not come for a long period of time. Or let's say something like fact inference judgment or data sufficiency has not come for a long period of time. And that period can be as long as 10 years. Okay, but can they come? Nobody stops them to do it. Okay, so therefore uh, you should be adaptable if something or some type of questions come which you have not practiced till now. Okay, you should quickly get adapted to it. If it has come as a new thing, please remember, if it has not come for 10 years, there is a high chance that No coaching institute, no preparation books, no nothing will prepare you for that beforehand. So therefore, let's say if data sufficiency comes or if column comparison comes, uh, better be ready for it. Okay, something, some new type of question, better be ready for it. RC, if there is a poem in RC, you better be ready for it. You never know what they will give. So therefore, all I am saying is, while 80% of the questions will still be, let's say reading comprehension will be there, verbal ability will be there, maybe para jumbles will be there. In quant, all standalone questions will be there, number series will be there, number theory will be there, or percentage profit and loss or time and distance will be there. But if there is a new type of question that suddenly appears, which you have not seen, don't be averse to read them. Now, why I am saying this is because once in a while, suddenly out of the blue, CAT generally tends to give a new type of question. Okay. And uh, there is no stopping them from they being the easiest question on the paper. And therefore, please don't make any presumption. I would strongly recommend that उन questions को पढ़ तो लेना ही. Please understand, theta questions was new when they came. Now, if theta questions get replaced by column comparison, you should not be averse to it saying that पता नहीं ये क्या है. पढ़ लो, ठीक है? Just read through it. Maybe they are easy. Okay. So fundamental idea that I'm trying to build is that there are a lot of type of question that has been tried and tested throughout during CAT history. There has been fact inference judgment, data sufficiency, column comparison, poems, theta, uh, English grammar, sentence correction, sentence equivalence, etc., etc. Make sure that I'm not necessarily telling you to practice it right now. No, not really. Data sufficiency is something which you might practice for NMAT, or you might practice for SNAP or ZAT. Okay, so if you have done that, maybe good. But I'm not telling you to do fact inference judgment now if you have not practiced it till date. Okay, and therefore, if it comes on the day of CAT, you decide what you want to do. Okay, you don't jump into the conclusion that I should just leave them. You don't know how many questions will come. So therefore, all I am fundamentally saying is that be open to new ideas. CAT generally gives you at least one or two surprises, either in terms of a new question or some new pattern or something, which tends to unnerve a lot of unprepared students. Be proud of yourself that you have prepared. You have prepared for maybe months or weeks or year, and therefore I don't think that should bother you. Okay, so therefore take that call during the paper and not really on the paper. I can see a lot of people asking questions. Please write down the questions on the comment boxes. I can see Soumya has written something, and Shatarup has written something. Niladri also has written something. Uh, I'll try to answer their questions by the end of the session. I can see it, but yeah, I'll most of the questions will get answered during the session. Okay. So what you should be ready with? You should be ready with by now, now that there are only 12 days left. The width of knowledge and syllabus, that will definitely remain the same. Now is not the time to learn anything new. The concepts and applications will be much more important than the formula. Formulas are good, but direct formula questions, I doubt whether will come in an exam like CAT. Okay, but because this is a managerial skill testing exam, so therefore, just plugging in the formula and getting the output, such type of questions have long not come. Okay, if I may say long, I mean 20 years. So therefore, uh, just just a question which will ask you what is the LCM of these three numbers, I doubt that will come. Having said that, a question which requires you to understand that finding out the LCM will help in getting you the answer might come. So therefore, your understanding, your concepts, your applications will be more important than formula. Formulas you revise, you should be ready with, but that is not the end of it for sure. Unpredictability, uh, I should not say that every year they give it, But yeah, I mean, there can be unnerving moments, some new type of questions, some difficult levels, first 10 questions looking very difficult, and so on and so forth. So therefore, something will be new or surprising. Don't get deterred by that. I think that is something which you should be very clearly ready, that kuch na kuch surprise, something, a tiny bit surprise might be there when it comes to cat. Okay. Now, why the pattern analysis is important? Uh, Last year, when I was doing a similar session with Campusutra, uh, and we are discussing CAT 2023, okay, I was almost in the risk of saying that CAT 2024, you might expect a very difficult paper, because CAT 2023 was very tough looking. Okay, and I will show you some questions. They were very tough looking. Uh, uh, Somebody who has did not have maths in their 12th, for the first 10 minutes or so, they were numb. Okay, for the quant section, they were numb. For DI, they were numb. Simply because, the DI was not only tough, it was lengthy. There were multiple conditions to the question. There was no ending. I mean, the questions went on and on and on. I remember while writing CAT 23, uh, so they give you, a notebook where you can make the diagrams and etc. And when I started making that tree, because there were some question regarding, somebody selling AC, air conditioners and air coolers, two types of ACs, two types of air coolers, and so on and so forth. When I started making the diagram, after 5 minutes, I got exhausted with the page. There was no space left on the page. The tree was so complex that at some point of time I gave up. I said, boss, I mean, what is this? Okay. So the questions were very visually unpleasant. Okay. You look at the question and you say, what the hell? I mean, this is not something which I'm comfortable with. This is not something which, not really looks very ugly. Okay, DI, you run out of your patience reading at the conditions, reading on and on and on. I'll show you some questions maybe. Uh, this is one question in CAT 23. Now look at it. I mean, somebody who did not have maths in 12th, and learned the basic concepts of log, looking at this question, first of all, it says half, then log something something, and then something something, and then God forbid there any arithmetic progression. So therefore, it is not only a log question; it is a log, difficult looking one, mixed with progression. I mean, that's a cocktail. Okay, and therefore, somebody who would have been, uh, slightly worried about their quant section and has been always worried about their quant section, this would have been a big deterrent. I would not even start the question. Okay, I look at it and I'll panic, saying that I don't have anything to do. Okay. Similarly, if you look at a DI question, this is the DI question that I was talking about. I mean, there were bloody 7 conditions. Okay, four dealers. There are two types of ACs: window AC and split AC, inverted type and non-inverted type, and then there are 7 bloody conditions. So when I started making that diagram, I still remember this question very close to my heart. It took me almost 7.5 minutes just to make the diagram, and that too, the page got fully covered. I did not have space to write down an extra line on that. Okay, now. Whether they did anything good or bad to the paper, the only thing that I suggest is, please understand that is बार भी ये हो सकता है. How does it matter? If it looks tough, it looks tough for everybody. If it is easy, it is looking easy for everybody. So therefore, one thing that we will have to understand is that while CAT 23 was easy, CAT 24 completely reversed the gear. Okay, it completely reversed the gear. Life became easy. Question looked easy and straightforward. Uh, there were enough number of questions in the quant section which looked so easy. Okay, and I'll show you something. Okay, CAT 2023, those who took CAT 2023 as a benchmark would have been for a surprise. Because anybody who thought looking at cat 2023 that cat 2024 एकदम जिसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं फोड़ के क्वेश्चन आएगा, and you know life will be difficult and they will be having questions like 32 to the power 32 to the power 32 divided by 273, what is the remainder? No, nothing like that came. Very straightforward questions came. This is like basic time and distance question. This is something which you do, I mean, this is class 10th level question. Okay, CBSE gives this type of question. Okay, so when cat 24 came, it came like, breath of fresh air. Okay, it was like, oh, fantastic, I'm doing it. cat 23 का जो मैंने PYQ पेपर करा था, then I scored only 5 marks in the quant section. Now I'm already in the 30th minute and I have been able to attempt 8 questions. I can't believe it. Okay, so I think this is one mistake that people do, that they try to predict good score or bad score. Okay, that is something which you should not do. Paper difficulty level prediction you should not do. I think that is one very common fundamental mistake that people do, that uh, I try to predict the paper. So just to answer your question, for example, Niladri's question, now I'll quickly answer Niladri's question. What percentile conforms to what score? The answer is we don't know. Okay, it purely depends on the difficulty level of the paper. There has been no real thumb rule. Okay, generally what we have seen now, okay, again, whatever I am saying, please take it with a sack full of salt, not with a pinch of salt. Okay, what we have seen is, generally if you are able to score 50%, okay, that's a fantastic score. That's generally almost always assures you 98 percentile plus. Okay, irrespective of the difficulty level of the paper, if you look at last 20 years. But is that necessary? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Difficulty level may change your life. For example, in cat 23, generally if you're able to do 7 to 8 questions out of 22 questions in the quant section, you would have got a 99 percentile. I got a 99.99 percentile by attempting what, 10 questions. Okay, so all I can tell you is that uh, please don't make any such parameters. Okay, uh, I don't think you should make any absolute number to a percentile. Okay, the only strategy that works during that time is, uh, you should definitely give your best. You should try to score as much as possible in those 40 minutes, and therefore you should more concentrate on choosing your question well, choosing your chapters well, choosing your comfort zones well, rather than trying to predict, saying that, if I scored this much, then I am done. Not really. Or if I have scored less than that, then I have to make some wild guesses. That is not a correct idea. I think uh, one thing that I definitely suggest is uh, English verbal. Okay, the verbal section, the English section. Generally, uh, since there are no formula like we do in quant or in DI, LRDI, etc., what generally people do is people make lot of wild guesses. Okay, and that kills lot of positive marks. Okay, if you look at average accuracy rate of the verbal section over the last few years, it has been in the range of 50% or less, not 50% plus, it is 50% minus. Okay, this is one section which I generally suggest to people, that try to keep at least 65 to 70% accuracy rate. Okay, which will mean that even if you have to attempt less, don't make wild guesses. Okay, if you are not very well read, if you are not somebody who has practiced or has been exposed to good English from your school, from your literature background, if you are not a person who reads lot of international books, novels, literature, per se literature, you should not do too many wild guesses. You would rather attempt approximately three-fourth of the paper, three-fourth of the section, and do it correctly. Concentrate on getting them correct instead of attempting. Attempting does not increase your score. A 50% attempt, a 50% accuracy rate only pulls down whatever good score you have done. So 65 to 70% accuracy rate in verbal, approximately 75 to 80% accuracy rate in the quant and the LRDI section is something which will bring you great scores. I'm talking about accuracy rate. I'm not talking about attempts at all. Okay. I am talking about accuracy rate. Whatever you attempt, okay, unless and until you are 90% sure or 100% sure you are doing that correctly, my suggestion will be that if it is not a theta question, if it is an MCQ which attracts negative marking, you should not attempt. Okay, the more your accuracy, the more the net score increases. The higher your mistakes are, the higher number of mistakes in the MCQ questions, your score gets pulled down badly. Okay, so therefore accuracy rate pe you should concentrate on. You should not really concentrate on number of attempts. That's not really a good idea. Okay, what are the topics that you should prioritize? I think generally I suggest that you should definitely, for quant, you should definitely practice numbers and properties. You should definitely practice percentage profit and loss, time and work, time and distance, okay, mixture allegation, okay, geometry, okay, and a little bit of PNC, permutation combination probability maybe. Okay, now again, just wait. I am not saying that questions will come mainly from this. No, absolutely not. Okay, for example, I did not touch upon algebra. If you want to do algebra, maybe definitely the linear equations, quadratic equations and inequalities, that is something which you should definitely do. Now why I am saying this is because I'm talking about linear, quadratic equation and inequality. Now, my reason for suggesting these topics in quant is they form the foundation of maths. Every question that you do, irrespective of the chapter, you cannot really proceed without understanding these chapters. So therefore, will there be a lot of questions from numbers? No, I'm not predicting that. All I am saying is if you don't know properties of numbers, or you don't know, or you don't understand percentage, profit and loss, you will not be able to do mixture allegation. You will not be able to do profit and loss questions. You will not be able to do DI, data interpretation. So therefore, these chapters from the basic foundation of maths, most of the time, they should help you in getting the answers correct as well. For English, I definitely suggest practicing RC as much as possible. And if you are still practicing, uh, get comfortable with RC topics which are not your comfort zones. For example, let's say if you are not comfortable with philosophy, or if you are not comfortable with anthropology, or if you are not comfortable with topics, let's say related to core science, physics, etc., build some comfort zone. Please remember, one assumption that cat makes is you are not supposed to know the subject prior. Okay, that topic is for everybody. So it is not only for a science student or a literature student. That is something which can be understood by everybody. That is how the topic has been chosen. However, many students are not comfortable with the language, and that is why they tend to give up without really knowing or checking whether the questions are easy or tough. So that is something, if you are still practicing in the last few days, try to see some topics which you are not comfortable with. Okay, and practice maybe a little bit of them. Parajumbles, definitely, I think something which you should definitely try to practice. Critical reasoning is something which you should definitely try to practice. I think this forms the basis of English language. So understanding how to form a paragraph, or understanding how to deduce something or infer something out of a passage, or understanding the passage and making a conclusion out of it, is something which I think everybody should practice for sure. Okay, do I need to learn vocab and grammar? I don't suggest it right now, because there are 18 days left. If you have 12, 13 days left. If you have not done it, don't do it now. If you have done it, good for you. I mean that will always help you. May not be directly, but always indirectly it will help you in trying to understand the topic or RC topic or the question and etc. So no taking away there, but yes, uh, LRDI, my suggestion will be that you practice the PYQs, that is previous year's questions, as much as possible. It has nothing to do with it has not really something to do that these questions will come back or something, but that makes you practice that, trains your brain to understand how do I attack those questions, how do I make inroads in those questions. That is something which helps you in doing the PYQs. I think that is something which will help you in the long run. Okay. uh, this is what cat 24, as we are talking about cat 23, you saw the questions at 7 lines. Here you can see the diagram, it was like so simple. Okay, now this is how cat 24 look like it. If cat 23 look like 7 lines, so I'll make a contrast with cat 23. This was a cat 23 DI question. Now look at cat 24, it looks so beautiful, so easy. Okay, 5 lines, the diagram almost contains nothing. So at least visually I don't get tired by looking at this question. Now the interesting part of the story was, uh, the the marks did not change much, the cutoffs did not change much. Just to share with you, the quant cutoff, and we'll talk about it, but the quant cutoff from cat 23 to cat 20, cat 24 did not change by more than 3 4 marks, which will practically mean one question more. Does it mean quant is a sore point for almost half of India? Maybe. Okay, but uh, all I can tell you, and I always say that if there is a surprise, both in terms of the paper going tough or the paper going easy, they are true for 95% of the people. Okay, nobody expects a surprise. Surprise by definition means something which is not really expected. Okay, and therefore, uh, I know it is easy to say from this side of the table, but uh, all I can tell you is a good cat aspirant gets surprised but does not remain in that surprise. They say all is well, okay, hai to hai, let's start. Okay, tough questions are good news for well prepared students because that differentiates the well prepared students. Please remember that success rate in CAT, if I combine all the IMs also, is not more than 2 3%. So therefore, if there are tough questions, it actually shafts out a lot of good students. So therefore, if you are a well prepared student and if you have practiced at least 10 mocks, you have practiced the PYQs, you have brushed your concepts, which is a fair assumption to make, 12 days before the paper. Uh, you should not get deterred by tough questions. Tough questions are good. I mean, it is true for everybody. Your concepts are good. Attack the question and you should be able to solve these questions. Panic is okay. It is good to panic. It's a tough paper. It is one of the most competitive papers in the world. So panic is okay. Remaining in the panic is definitely not. Okay, and that is exactly why I have always suggested throughout the year that keep on giving mock cats. Okay, you will see a graph, you will see where you land, you will see what average you are getting. Okay, there'll be some days which are very good, there'll be some days which are very bad, but at some point of time everything averages out. Okay, and therefore if you have averaged out to approximately 70 percentile now, okay, so let's say कि 70 percentile से कम तो नहीं आ रहा है mocks में, I can tell you with fair amount of confidence that you are not going to get less than 90 percentile in CAT. Okay, you will get at least 3 4 5 percentile booster depending on where you are. Obviously if you are at 99 percentile you don't get a 5 percentile booster, but you definitely get a booster on the day of CAT, for the simplest reason that if you are a well prepared student, you will be fighting with people, many people who are not well prepared. So आप जो mock cats लिखते हो, when you are writing a mock, you are actually writing a mock with people who are making an effort to write mock themselves. So therefore they are well prepared to semi prepared. Okay, whereas cat will be not like that. Cat has approximately 2.95 lakh people writing this paper. Okay, whereas if you look at any mock by any coaching institute, the number of people writing mocks has been anywhere in the range of 10,000 to 20,000, not more than that. Okay, so therefore a lot of people will write cat who are not as well prepared as you are, and they automatically go below you as a rank, who are not present there when you are writing mocks. So therefore mocks plus a little bit of bumper, a little bit here and there, should definitely be a good news, and you should definitely write mocks from today till, I will say, 25th. So let me stick my neck out again and say that, next 7 days you should not write more than two mocks, and two mocks good enough. Look at the percentile, you should be happy about it. Okay. uh, as I said, the good news is the cat cutoffs are not much different. There are enough number of easy questions in both cat 23 as well as 24. If you survive the initial panic, uh, in both the papers you could have easily cleared the cutoff. See, there are only, if you remain in panic, even if there is an easy question in front of you from the topic you are very good in, you will not see it. By that time you have lost hope, by that time you have panicked. So uh, very difficult, I understand, on that day doing it. But do panic 5 minutes, but try to get into it, saying that choro yaar, I mean, let's start doing it. I think that's the only way you can clear an exam like cat. Accuracy would have won the game. As I said, keep a target of 65% to 70% accuracy in verbal, uh, 70 to 80% accuracy in both DILR as well as quant. If you do that, uh, very high chances you'll be easily be able to clear the sectional cutoffs as well as the overall cutoff if you have prepared well till now. Okay. And therefore strategies, I think the most important strategy which I always suggest to all cat aspirants is choose your questions well. Okay, which question to do becomes much more important than how many to attempt. Okay, because the moment you choose your questions and you can solve them, the number of attempts go up automatically. Okay, so what I generally suggest, in the quant section most of the questions are standalone. Okay, they don't come in sets. Even if they come in sets, they will come as two questions in a set or three questions in a set. So I generally suggest that in the quant section you only see the first 5 questions in, let's say, quickly 2 minutes. Okay, and then give yourself an extra 8 minutes by choosing two questions out of those 5. ओके, तो आपने क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 2 3 4 5 देख लिया, 1 to 5 आपने क्लिक क्लिक करके देख लिया. गिव योरसेल्फ 40 सेकंड्स और 30 सेकंड्स पर क्वेश्चन. क्विकली क्विकली आप क्लिक क्लिक करके देख रहे हो. अच्छा, ये टाइम एंड डिस्टेंस का क्वेश्चन है. दिस इज अ परसेंटेज क्वेश्चन, दिस इज अ ज्योमेट्री क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो between question number 1 to 5 I should attempt question number 2, question number 3 and question number 5, and now give yourself 8 to 10 minutes in doing those 3 questions. Okay, if you are able to do it, be happy. If you're not able to do it, move on. Okay, now again take a 8 to 10 minutes window for the next set of 5 questions, an 8 to 10 minutes window for the next set of 5 questions, and the 8 to 10 minutes window for the next set of 5 questions. Okay, that way in 40 minutes you should be able to see almost the whole paper and you don't miss out on easy questions. Okay, if you have the tenacity to look at all the questions at one go for 6 minutes and then decide which questions to do, that is something which I don't do, because I tend to forget what was question number 1 when I'm checking at question number 20. Okay, so I generally don't do that, but if you have the tenacity to do it, you are most welcome. Same thing you should do for DI. In DI, generally what I suggest is that you look at 2 sets. Okay, the data of 2 consecutive sets, set 1 and set 2. Look at the data, and whichever data you like or you think is manageable, start with that for the next 8 to 10 minutes. Same thing you do for the set 3 and 4, set 4 and 5 if there are 4 sets or 5 sets, and then compare the 2 sets. Don't look at all the sets together. Compare the 2 sets and choose your set, whichever you want to, and based on that you can definitely pick up and try to solve. Okay, Generally, for a DI set, if you are doing one set, since there are approximately 4 questions, you can easily invest 10 minutes on one set. Okay, remember that logic still remains that it is approximately 1.8 to 2 minutes per question. Okay, I never ever recommend looking at a question for 5 seconds and deciding I will not do it. Okay, you never know how difficult it is. You'll have to start putting your pen and paper on that. Okay, lot of people just give up on topics saying that ye to hoga hi nahi. Okay, unless you have decided that logarithm questions I cannot do or functions question I cannot do, way out of my reach. अगर कोई क्वेश्चन थोड़ा गंदा दिख रहा है, some dirty looking question, take your time, but make sure that you read through the question. You don't give yourself up on 2 seconds or something. Give yourself 30 seconds at least. Read through the question. Make a quick roadmap saying that perhaps I'll have to find out 2 equations, 2 unknowns. Maybe it will get solved like that. Okay, or absolutely blank, I have no clue how to do it, and then you dump it. But every question is worth at least 20 to 30 seconds. Don't give up on a question by looking at it and say 2 seconds, I'm done. Nothing can be done about it. Same thing goes for LRDI comparison also. When you are reading a set, make sure that you are reading that set for at least a minute. Go through it, try to understand the data. If you understand the data, that's a very good indication that you should be able to attempt the question. Okay. VRC build comfort with as many different types of topics and genres. I think that's what I just now said, that if you are uncomfortable with any type of topic, you should practice that. I think that's something which you should do. Type of questions that come and etc. My generic suggestion will be, if possible, if you are good in it, try to finish the standalone questions first. Okay, and then try to do RC. You take your call. If you think that your strength is RC and not VA, then obviously you do RC first. Okay, but generally, reading an RC passage and then doing these questions, each RC will take approximately 7 to 8 minutes, depending on the length. And that generally, creates a panic in your mind that time is running out and etc. So if you do the standalone questions first, then what happens is that you will be able to solve at least 3, 4, 5 questions in first 10 minutes. That gives you the confidence that, okay, I am, in the driver's seat, and therefore now I can go to RC and I can give myself 10 minutes or something like that. This is if you are comfortable with. If you are not comfortable with that, target RC first as usual, and then you should be able to do it. I think so. The moral that I'm trying to build at the end, I think that's what is important, is uh, while 80% of your strategy should be ready by now, the last 20% decide on the day of CAT. CAT might throw some surprises, and you should be able to be adaptable to that change. That is what is more important. Okay, if you are not adaptable, you do not have managerial skills, and that is exactly what CAT is testing. Okay, so I think that is from my side. All the best. And yeah, surely anything that you want, you can drop it at campusutra.com and we will be happy to answer. Nirmal, over to you.
There are some questions, Dhruv sir, I think, which has remained unanswered. So if you can just take it up.
I think I have answered all the questions.
Mhm.
I saw that which type of questions dominated RCs. Oh, not really. I think no such trend. I think
Okay.
it has come as on a fair proportion for everything. I don't think there is anything that I can put a trend out of it. However, inference, tone, fact based are generally the more difficult ones. Okay, and therefore, if you are not really good with it, stick to fact based and not really tone based or inference based. That's what I can tell you. I think the rest of the questions, I think Niladri's question.
One question which is like, sir, I'm a SC male, and
Oh, okay.
how
I
much is
did
good
not see.
enough for a Blackie or for FMS? Would you like to take it?
Oh, I'm assuming 87, 83, 63 is talking about his 10th, 12th, and graduation marks.
Yeah.
What is a good enough percentile needed for Blackie FMS? SC male, uh, if you are a non-engineer, my guess is anywhere around 80 to 85 percentile should be good for you to get a good B school call.
And I think there's one more which you have already taken, which topic arithmetic, algebra, number systems,
Yeah, yeah,
geometry.
that
Yeah,
I
that,
have answered.
that you have covered. So okay, so far so good, and very valuable points, Dhruv sir, as usual. In fact, if you people have any queries, you can do write to us. In fact, we also have a WhatsApp community on MBA. Do join that. The link will be shared in the comment section. Couple of points which you have mentioned is really very important in terms of keeping that in mind. For example, the difficulty level doesn't matter, difficulty level or easy level, it would be basically mostly on the number of cat aspirants or cat takers. So basically, if there are X number of people taking, it would be the difficulty level would be same for all, and vice versa if the easy level. So we have seen in 2023 it was a very tough paper, whereas in 2024 the easy paper by IIM Calcutta. This year again it is IIM Kozhikode, so we don't know what it would be, but at the same time predictability or apprehension or or thinking that okay I have done bad or good during cat or post cat doesn't make much sense. And on top of it, since the seats are enhanced and every institute, most of them are increasing seats, the chances probably and the probability factor would be better than what it was earlier. So having said that, I would like to end this session, and we would continue with standing beside cat experience, zat experience. We would probably have a zat session very soon, and in the meantime, uh, at least five top B schools are closing on the 28th of November. MDI Gurgaon, of course, being one of them. And MDI Gurgaon, remember, only takes CAT scores. They do not take ZAT scores. So, keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that MDI Gurgaon will close the applications at 5 p.m., whereas SPJN, IFT, or FMS, that is the same date, but on 12:00 hours in the night. So, should you apply to all these B schools? Definitely, if you are looking for a 95 percentile and above, right, Dhruv sir?
Yes.
I think you should definitely apply to these B schools, considering the average CTC of all these B schools to be somewhere around 30 to in between 30 to 35 lakhs per annum. And of course, for FMS, because if you can crack FMS, nothing like it. The entire fees, of course, is basically equivalent to what is a probably a canteen or a hostel fee in other institutes. So all the best. Keep flooding us with your queries if you have any. Do follow us. Do take mock, but not more than two, as Dhruv sir has already suggested, in a day. We have a lot of mock tests in campusutra.com. You can also take a mock test in WhatsApp. We have that, and join us in our WhatsApp MBA community, and also view the past year's Dhruvosa's session on VRC, DALR, and all of CAT, which is covered and is there in our YouTube channel of campusutra.com. All the best. Thank you so much, Dhruvosa.
Thank you.
See you soon.